North Korea, one of the most isolated and secretive countries on the planet, has long intrigued the world with its tightly controlled regime, dictatorial leadership, and profound sense of nationalism. For decades, this hermit kingdom has remained a mystery to much of the global community, often portrayed in the media as a place where people suffer under the weight of harsh sanctions and oppressive rule. The official narrative crafted by the Kim family, through its totalitarian grip on power, paints a picture of a united and resilient people working toward national strength and self-reliance. This narrative, however, is far from the reality seen by outsiders who are allowed brief glimpses into the tightly controlled everyday life in the country. Pyongyang, the heart of Kim Jong-un's empire. Our journey begins in Pyongyang, the capital city of North Korea, where approximately 3 million people reside along the banks of the Taedong River. Pyongyang is often referred to as a privilege for its inhabitants, an honor that is bestowed upon those who have earned the right to live in the heart of the nation. This privilege is not open to all. The government carefully monitors and controls the movement of people into the capital, which is viewed as the center of North Korean ideology and political power. Those who are deemed loyal to the regime are allowed to live in the city, while those who do not meet the standards of loyalty are often sent to more remote areas of the country, or even to labor camps. The atmosphere in Pyongyang is strikingly different from that of cities in the rest of the world. As we step outside to begin our day, we are greeted by scenes of discipline and order, where the citizens of Pyongyang move purposefully through their daily routines. It is here that we encounter the motivational brigades, groups of workers whose job is to cheer on their fellow citizens during their commute to work. Dressed in neatly pressed uniforms, they line the streets, waving banners and enthusiastically shouting slogans aimed at boosting the morale of the workers heading to their respective jobs. Strict surveillance, the rule of silence. While the image of a well-organized society might be the first impression for visitors, it soon becomes clear that this image is carefully crafted and maintained by the regime. Our guides make it known that we are not allowed to speak with the people of North Korea without their supervision. The country operates under a strict policy of surveillance, where foreigners are prohibited from making contact with locals unless the contact is approved by the government. Even more telling, North Koreans are forbidden from interacting with outsiders in any capacity, a policy that ensures complete isolation from the outside world. This isolation is a key element of North Korea's control over its population. The government monitors everything, from media consumption to the internet usage of its citizens. Foreign influence, particularly from Western countries, is seen as a threat to the carefully constructed image of the country and its leadership. For this reason, visitors are restricted to specific areas, often accompanied by guides who ensure that no unauthorized contact is made. This strict control serves not only to prevent the spread of ideas from the outside world, but also to reinforce the regime's power over its people. Sports and national defense, a country preparing for battle. During our visit, we are shown the country's recreational facilities, which include sports activities that have become a key component of North Korea's national pride. Among the most popular sports is volleyball, a game that the people of North Korea take very seriously. Volleyball, along with tennis, is not merely a pastime, but an essential tool for the regime to promote fitness and strength. The government has repeatedly emphasized the importance of sports, with a focus on developing a physically and mentally strong population capable of defending the country against foreign adversaries. We meet with a volleyball player who is eager to explain why the sport is of such importance. His answer is revealing. Our people must become fit in order to defend ourselves against the Americans, he says, his tone resolute. He explains that physical fitness is part of the national effort to prepare for potential military conflict, a sentiment that echoes the regime's constant emphasis on self-defense and national unity. The looming presence of foreign enemies, particularly the United States, is a constant theme in North Korean rhetoric, and it is woven into almost every aspect of life, from education to leisure activities. In the eyes of the regime, the threat of war is ever present, and the country's ability to withstand such a threat depends on the strength and discipline of its citizens. The imposing presence of the Kim family. As we continue to explore the capital, we are struck by the omnipresence of the Kim family's legacy. Everywhere we look, There are portraits, statues, and monuments dedicated to Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, his son Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un, the current leader. The images of the Kim family, revered as near deities, are strategically placed throughout the city, reinforcing the perception of their divine status. One of the most imposing landmarks is the Arch of Triumph, which stands as a monument to Kim Jong-un's grandfather, Kim Il-sung. It is said to be 5 meters taller than the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, symbolizing North Korea's self-proclaimed superiority over the rest of the world. Our official guide, Mrs. Kim, proudly describes the arch's significance. It stands as a symbol of the eternal president, Kim Il-sung, who devoted his life to the prosperity and strength of the nation, she explains. The Arch of Triumph, like so many other symbols in Pyongyang, is a testament to the regime's efforts to elevate the Kim family's legacy to the level of a national myth, one that is ingrained in the consciousness of every citizen. The Metro, a hidden world of propaganda. Our exploration takes us to another iconic location in Pyongyang, the metro system. The metro stations in North Korea are among the deepest in the world, designed not only as transportation hubs, but also as shelters in the event of a war. They serve as a symbol of the country's preparedness for conflict and the lengths the regime is willing to go to protect its citizens in times of crisis. But there is more to the metro than just its function as a subterranean refuge. As we travel along the tracks, we are constantly reminded of the regime's propaganda. The metro cars, which were originally from West Berlin, are adorned with symbols and images that reinforce the narrative of North Korea's struggle for self-reliance and victory over its enemies. The carriages themselves have an eerie air of obsolescence, with traces of their former lives in Berlin still visible, creating a surreal juxtaposition between the past and present. The people riding the metro are absorbed in their daily lives, but there is an underlying tension. The government carefully monitors the thoughts and behaviors of the population, ensuring that any deviation from the prescribed norms is swiftly dealt with. As we travel deeper into the metro system, we are reminded that the people of North Korea are constantly exposed to propaganda, even during their mundane commutes. This controlled environment reinforces the regime's narrative at every turn, leaving little room for independent thought or dissent. A glimpse into the world of North Korean children. One of the most poignant moments of our visit occurs when we are taken to a kindergarten, where young children are being educated in the ways of the regime. The institution we visit is known as the Keton Singh Kindergarten, an elite school that prepares the future leaders of the country. The children here are taught the values of hard work, discipline, and loyalty to the regime from a very young age. They are shown how to conduct themselves in a manner that will be pleasing to the leadership and their country. As we watch the children in action, we are struck by the precision and orderliness of their behavior. No one is disruptive. Everyone remains focused on the task at hand. They participate in physical exercises and performances designed to showcase their talents and abilities. These children, we are told, are the future of North Korea, and they are being groomed for positions of power and influence. One of the children, a 5-year-old girl named Kam Kongu, is the star of the kindergarten. Her ability to perform classical music on the piano is astonishing, and she plays a piece by Johann Sebastian Bach with remarkable skill for someone so young. Her performance is met with applause from the adults present, reinforcing the idea that these children are not just ordinary students. They are the future elite of North Korea. The image of prosperity, Pyongyang's leisure and luxury. Throughout our time in Pyongyang, we are shown examples of the regime's attempts to portray an image of prosperity and success. The city is filled with leisure activities and luxurious amenities that are intended to project the idea that North Korea is a thriving nation, capable of providing for the well-being of its citizens. Among the most notable of these is the MSU Water Park, the largest water park in the country. It is an impressive facility, complete with pools, slides, and recreational areas that could rival any amusement park in the world. The water park is a symbol of the regime's success in building a modern, thriving society, though it is carefully curated for foreign visitors to see. The workers brought to the water park are shown a pristine version of Pyongyang, one that highlights the achievements of the regime while obscuring the country's many struggles. Visitors are told that this water park and other amenities like it are the result of the hard work and dedication of the North Korean people. What you see here, everyone can have in the future, we are told. If you work hard enough, you will have the same as those who live in the capital. Cult of Kim Jong-un, a dynasty of control. At the heart of North Korea's propaganda is the figure of Kim Jong-un, the current supreme leader, whose image and ideology permeate every aspect of life in the country. The regime has crafted an all-encompassing cult of personality around Kim Jong-un, following in the footsteps of his father, Kim Jong-il, and grandfather, Kim Il-sung. This dynasty of control has ensured that the Kim family's legacy remains central to North Korean identity, shaping the nation's direction and the worldview of its citizens. Kim Jong-un is not merely a political leader, but is elevated to the status of a godlike figure. His authority is absolute, and his word is law. As we travel through Pyongyang, it becomes evident that the country's reverence for the Kim family is not only political, but deeply ingrained in the culture and psyche of the people. Portraits of Kim Jong-un, his father and grandfather adorn public spaces, government buildings, schools, and even private homes. It is impossible to escape the constant reminders of the Kim family's omnipresent influence. What makes Kim Jong-un's rule particularly striking is the manner in which his leadership is presented as a continuation of a divine mission. The government's ideology teaches that Kim Jong-un, as the latest leader in a long line of great leaders, has been divinely chosen to guide the nation toward its rightful place as a global power. The country's internal propaganda campaigns emphasize the family's divine right to rule, and any questioning of their authority is not just considered an affront to the state, but an attack on the very fabric of North Korean identity. The Kim family's rule is seen as unshakable, and their vision for the country is perceived as a cosmic destiny. The role of propaganda in everyday life. Propaganda in North Korea extends far beyond political speeches or state-run media. It infiltrates every aspect of daily life, creating an environment where loyalty to the regime is paramount and dissent is unthinkable. The media, comprising newspapers, radio, television, and even the internet, is entirely controlled by the state. Independent journalism is non-existent, and all news is filtered through a lens that upholds the regime's narrative. Citizens are subjected to an endless barrage of content that celebrates the achievements of the Kim family and decries the supposed evils of foreign powers, particularly the United States and its allies. The internet is a powerful example of this control. Unlike in most countries where internet access is a gateway to information from all over the world, North Koreans have very limited access to the global web. The government has created its own isolated intranet, which is strictly regulated and monitored. This network only allows access to government-approved websites, making it impossible for the average citizen to view independent news or engage with the outside world. For most North Koreans, the internet is not a tool for exploration or education, but a controlled mechanism for reinforcing the regime's ideology. The education system plays a similarly crucial role in shaping the worldview of the younger generation. From a young age, children are indoctrinated with the values of loyalty to the regime, reverence for the Kim family, and an unshakable belief in the superiority of North Korea. As we witnessed in the kindergarten, children are taught not only academic subjects, but also ideological lessons designed to shape their understanding of their place in the world. They are groomed to become the future leaders, soldiers, and workers of North Korea, expected to uphold the legacy of the Kim family and contribute to the country's defense and prosperity. The contradictions of Pyongyang, a city of luxury, amidst scarcity. Pyongyang, though presented as a shining example of North Korea's success, is a city full of contradictions. While the regime promotes an image of prosperity and progress, much of the rest of the country remains in poverty, with the majority of North Koreans living in rural areas or struggling to survive under the weight of international sanctions and government control. The capital itself is a carefully curated environment, designed to impress visitors with its modern infrastructure, clean streets, and high-rise buildings. Yet, the country's economic reality is starkly different. Basic goods are scarce, and many North Koreans rely on the government's rationing system to obtain even the most basic necessities. The stark contrast between the wealth of Pyongyang and the poverty in the rest of the country highlights the deep inequality within the nation. The capital is home to the political elite and those who have managed to earn the favor of the regime, while the vast majority of citizens live in less developed areas where resources are limited and the effects of sanctions are keenly felt. This disparity between the capital and the countryside is a reflection of the regime's prioritization of loyalty and power over the well-being of its people. While the government expends considerable resources on projects like the water park, luxury hotels, and impressive monuments, the vast majority of North Koreans struggle with the realities of daily life in a country crippled by international isolation. The cultivation of nationalism and the future of North Korea. As we continue to move through Pyongyang, it is impossible to ignore the pervasive sense of nationalism that fills the air. The regime has worked tirelessly to foster a sense of pride in the achievements of the Kim family and to position North Korea as a strong and independent country in the face of foreign adversaries. Nationalism is central to the country's identity, and it is constantly reinforced through media, education, and public displays of loyalty. One of the key pillars of North Korean nationalism is the idea of self-reliance, known as Juche. This ideology, developed by Kim Il-sung, stresses the importance of economic and political independence, even if it means sacrificing the well-being of the people. Juche has become the foundation of North Korea's policy, and it dictates everything from the country's foreign relations to its domestic economic policies. The regime has justified its repressive policies and isolationist stance as a means of protecting the country's sovereignty and ensuring its future survival. However, this ideology has also led to widespread suffering, with the government's refusal to engage with the outside world resulting in economic stagnation, food shortages, and human rights abuses. Despite the challenges, the regime continues to push forward with its vision of a powerful and self-sufficient North Korea. Under Kim Jong-un's leadership, the country has made significant strides in developing its nuclear weapons program, positioning itself as a regional power and defying international pressure to abandon its nuclear ambitions. Kim Jong-un's goal is to secure North Korea's place on the global stage, and he is willing to risk everything to achieve that goal. The future of North Korea, a nation at a crossroads. North Korea finds itself at a crossroads. The country is caught between its desire for self-reliance and its need to engage with the outside world to address its economic and social challenges. Kim Jong-un's leadership has been marked by a desire to assert North Korea's place as a global power, but his ambitions are tempered by the realities of international isolation and domestic struggles. The future of North Korea remains uncertain. Will the country continue to follow the path of self-reliance, or will it eventually be forced to open up to the outside world? Will Kim Jong-un's leadership ultimately bring about the desired prosperity, or will the weight of the country's isolation prove too great to overcome? For now, North Korea remains one of the most enigmatic and repressive regimes in the world, and the lives of its people continue to unfold behind the tightly guarded walls of secrecy that define the nation. As outsiders, we can only observe the carefully curated image that the regime presents to the world, but the true nature of life in North Korea remains a mystery, one that may never be fully understood until the day when the doors of this secretive country finally open. The elite life of Pyongyang, a glimpse into North Korea's noble classes. In the heart of Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, a unique scene unfolds. A world where the government projects its vision of an ideal society, one that promises equality and prosperity, but in reality is deeply divided along lines of privilege and power. This is a place where the elite class enjoys luxuries that most citizens can only dream of, and where appearances are everything. Amidst this carefully constructed facade of uniformity, we discover glimpses of a hierarchy that defines who gets to live a life of comfort and who does not. The riding club in Pyongyang is a striking example of how the North Korean regime has cultivated a visible display of nobility and exclusivity within its tightly controlled society. Located in a city where ordinary citizens face tremendous restrictions, this riding club stands as a testament to the privileged status of those in favor with the Kim family. On the surface, the club's purpose appears to be to provide an opportunity for all North Koreans to experience horseback riding. Yet it is clear that this institution is not for the common people. With membership restricted to the elite, the club serves more as a symbol of the power and exclusivity that defines North Korea's ruling class, a symbol of elitism and power. As we observe groups of visitors from the countryside, we are reminded of the stark divisions in North Korean society. The common people, those who live in rural areas and labor in the factories, gaze in awe at the sight of the horse riders, who seem almost out of place in a nation where the majority of the population lives in poverty. The riding club is not just a venue for recreation, it is a manifestation of the social hierarchy where access to certain privileges is determined by one's loyalty and proximity to the ruling Kim family. The horses, Hanoverians from Germany and quarter horses from England, are particularly noteworthy given the ongoing international sanctions that severely limit the country's ability to import goods. How these noble animals arrived in Pyongyang remains a mystery, an unsolved puzzle in a country where almost every foreign commodity is tightly controlled. The North Korean government has framed the riding club as a gesture of generosity from the supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, who is portrayed as offering this luxury to his people. The official narrative claims that the club was open to allow every North Korean the opportunity to ride. However, with the country's population hovering around 25 million, the likelihood that this dream will become a reality for most citizens is slim. Instead, it serves as a potent reminder of the idealized vision of prosperity the regime wishes to project, a highly controlled society. Beyond the superficial charm of Pyongyang, life in North Korea is characterized by rigid control. The streets are filled with military uniforms, a constant reminder of the 1.3 million soldiers who make up one of the largest standing armies in the world. Military service is compulsory, and the presence of soldiers at every corner underscores the pervasive atmosphere of surveillance and control that permeates all aspects of North Korean life. With an iron grip over the population, the regime ensures that no one is free to travel or speak without permission. In Pyongyang, freedom of movement is highly restricted, and only the most privileged are allowed to roam freely. For most citizens, a simple trip to another part of the country requires official approval, making spontaneous travel an impossibility. This state of perpetual surveillance means that those who live in Pyongyang, or are fortunate enough to send their children to prestigious schools or clubs, are part of a privileged class that has earned the favor of the Kim regime. The regime rewards loyalty, and those who have achieved a certain level of status are granted privileges that are unavailable to the majority. Access to special places like the riding club or the soccer academy, both elite institutions, is not a right, but a mark of high standing within the Kim regime's system. The soccer academy, loyalty and commitment to the regime. One such institution that showcases the regime's selective investment in the future elite of the country is the North Korean Soccer Academy. The academy, nestled next to the iconic 1st of May Stadium, is dedicated to cultivating the next generation of soccer players. Thousands of children dream of being selected to join the academy, but only about 30 are chosen each year, marking the harsh reality of competition for a place in the upper echelons of North Korean society. The academy's origins trace back to Kim Jong-il, who conceived the idea of founding a sports school to prepare young people for a future as athletes and loyal subjects of the regime. Kim Jong-un has since taken an active role in the academy, visiting it multiple times and ensuring that it remains an institution of importance in the country's elite system. Children at the academy are subjected to intense training schedules, with 5 hours of practice in the morning and another 4 hours in the afternoon. In some ways, this grueling regimen mirrors the military discipline that is instilled in all North Koreans, particularly those who are considered potential leaders or soldiers in the future. Though the academy's stated purpose is to hone athletic talent, the real goal is much more profound: to solidify the loyalty of these children to the regime. Every action they take, from their soccer training to their academic pursuits, is meant to reinforce the principles of obedience and sacrifice for the nation. As the assistant principal of the academy reflects, even small details are considered important in the development of these young minds. Kim Jong-un personally ensured that the roof of the indoor training area was built, a detail that serves as both a physical improvement to the facility and a symbolic reminder of the supreme leader's care for the welfare of his subjects. A life of loyalty and sacrifice. While some children in the academy will go on to professional sports careers, Most will return to their communities, bringing with them the deeply ingrained values of loyalty to the Kim family and the state. The children are taught that their successes and sacrifices are a direct reflection of their devotion to the regime. This message is reinforced by the state's relentless efforts to portray Kim Jong-un as a benevolent and caring leader, a father figure who is dedicated to the well-being of his people. Yet, beneath this veneer of paternalism lies a totalitarian system that demands unwavering loyalty from every citizen. The story of these children offers a sobering glimpse into the harsh realities of growing up under a dictatorship. For many of them, childhood is not a time of exploration or self-expression, but a period of intense discipline and conformity. As one young boy at the academy reveals, his pride in the school comes from the fact that it was built by the great leader. His words, rehearsed and scripted, reflect the deep indoctrination that permeates every aspect of life in North Korea. Daily life, under surveillance, the Pyongyang department store, and private homes. As we move through the city, we witness more of the stark contrasts that define life in Pyongyang. A visit to the Pyongyang department store reveals the deeply entrenched scarcity that still exists in the country, despite the facade of prosperity. The store, which offers everything from everyday groceries to luxury imported goods, is far from a modern consumer paradise. The price tags are absent, and those who can afford to pay in dollars are treated differently from those who must pay in North Korean won. For the average citizen, even basic items like pickled cucumbers or garlic are considered expensive luxuries. Every North Korean citizen receives a small ration of rice and cabbage from the state, but beyond that, they must rely on the market to survive. Yet even the market is unreliable, with many departments facing constant power shortages, resulting in an unreliable supply of goods. In stark contrast, we are shown a private home belonging to an elite family. The apartment is spacious, 2,350 square feet, and the family enjoys a relatively comfortable life, with modern amenities like running water, a rarity in a country where many homes still lack basic utilities. The family's ties to the regime are evident. The husband was once a member of the unified Korean soccer team, and the grandfather is a professor who has been rewarded for his unwavering loyalty to the regime. While the apartment is luxurious by North Korean standards, it is also a symbol of the rewards that come with loyalty to the Kim dynasty, the unseen struggles of the North Korean people. As we observe these glimpses of life in North Korea, it becomes clear that the regime's carefully constructed image of prosperity and equality is in many ways a myth. The reality of daily life for most North Koreans is far less glamorous. While the elite enjoy special privileges, the vast majority of the population faces hardship and deprivation. The state controls every aspect of life, from the homes people live in to the food they eat, and individuality is stamped out in favor of conformity and loyalty to the regime. As we leave the elite enclave of Pyongyang and return to the more hidden parts of the country, it becomes evident that North Korea remains a society of sharp divisions, where the ruling class lives in relative comfort, while the masses continue to struggle in a system that demands total submission to the Kim family. Behind the carefully curated images of prosperity and unity lies a far darker reality, one where freedom is non-existent and the cost of dissent is unbearable. For the people of North Korea, the promise of a better future is nothing more than a distant dream, one that may never come true.